Okay, seriously, what is going on with the transfer portal right now? We are seeing guys jump into the transfer portal out of nowhere who you wouldn't even expect to transfer. And recently, we have Gavin Teasdale entering the transfer portal, Kennedy Monday, and Sebastian Rivera, amongst a bunch of others. So I'm going to tell you where I think these three guys could end up, and it could be big for the 2021 season. The first guy we have to talk about is Kennedy Monday, the 165-pounder coming out of UNC. Now, first of all, he could stay at UNC. That's a potential with all these guys. Just because you enter the transfer portal, not necessarily mean that you are transferring, but it is likely that it's going to happen. So Kennedy Monday was top 10 at one point in the rankings, came into the national tournament as a potential All-American, could have happened. Didn't have the best ACC championships, but what a phenomenal year he had, especially when he upset David McFadden and didn't just beat him, he followed him. So he is going to be a big get for a number of schools, but which schools could those be? I think that's obviously the big question here. And his list, unlike Teasdale's and Rivera's, I think is big. There are just so many places he could end up. I think, personally, any of these schools could happen. I did some digging just to see where this could end up, where he could end up based on where, he's looking, also where we could see a good spot in the lineup for him. So looking first, I think we have to talk about the fact that Monday probably, he may want to just move into a Big Ten school. And in that case, you see a Penn State, Nebraska, Ohio State, or Minnesota really sticking out to him. You could also see him transfer into the EIWA with a Princeton, which is where his brother Quincy is. I think that's one big thing there, is transferring into Princeton, where his brother is, as well as to an Arizona State, where there's maybe a little bit more spot in the lineup there. And like I said, a little bit more spot in the lineup at Arizona State, because Arizona State's losing Shields. Anthony Valencia may drop, but, if you see Monday transfer in, you could see him stay up. That's just one possibility. I think that's a very likely possibility to happen at Arizona State. Plus, you don't just look at, the wrestling team. You also look at certain things. Going from a North Carolina to an Arizona State, those are two similar states as far as, like, a weather is concerned. So, that's just one, perk of going to an Arizona State, amongst many other things. Penn State, I find a little bit less unlikely. Could happen, but less likely. Same thing going on with Ohio State. They're pretty stacked up in their lineup with Carson Karchla as well as an Ethan Smith. But Nebraska is a team where I think that Monday could really fit in nicely. 165 is where Bubba Wilson is right now. After losing Isaiah White to graduation, that's kind of a spot that would be a phenomenal fit for Monday if he moved in there. But I think likely, you could see any one of these schools. This is really a big toss-up here. The next guy we have to talk about is Gavin Teasdale. We saw him transfer out of initially go to Penn State, transfer out, go to Iowa. Now he's transferring out again. He's somebody who had so much potential coming out of high school, a four-time PIAA state champion, Fargo champ. It hasn't really done much in college, unfortunately. He's somebody who I would like to see succeed, but, where could he end up now? I think the list is really similar to where I talked about last time when he transferred out of Penn State. First of all, yeah, you could see him go back to Penn State. I think that's very unlikely, though. I don't think that's going to happen. You don't see that happen very often, where somebody transfers out and then comes back in. It's happened, but not very likely to. Two schools also on the list. Pitt is a school where that's, where he's from. He's from Pittsburgh. I think that's a likely choice for him to go back there. Now, who does Pitt have in the lineup? Well, they have Lewis Newell at 125, who's a tough wrestler. But I don't know if Tiso actually even wants to make 25, because he's been wrestling 133, and he's pretty big for 133. But I don't necessarily know that he wants to drop down. Because then at 33, you have Mickey Philippi, who is a national title contender and kind of tough to beat. And maybe if he bumps up to 141, which I don't know why he would, but maybe he does, you have Cole Matthews there. So it's a tough spot in the lineup, but Pitt is one spot where he could fit in. The other two teams I want to discuss here, though, are Campbell and Navy. So we know that Gavin Teasdale was initially looking to go to Campbell, and that was one of the places he was thinking about transferring to because of Kerry Cole. Both these guys came from the same high school. Colette is kind of, a little bit of a mentor to him, somebody he looks up to and admires, as with many wrestlers. But I think that Campbell could be a good landing spot for him. Losing Noah Gonzer, who is an potential All-American this year. They have a couple guys coming in, Shannon Hanna out of Old Dominion, as well as Gabe Hicksamaw, who is a multiple-time state champion. But then you could also see, because Colette left Campbell, you could also see him going to Navy, potentially following him there. I think maybe, you see Teasdale just can't find maybe the structure in these teams and these Big Ten schools. Maybe Navy is the place for him to find a little bit more structure in his life, as well as being under Coach Kerry Colette. And they have some open weights from 25 to 41 where he could fit in very, very nicely. The other thing I had listed here is D2 or D3. Maybe D1's not for Gavin Teasdale right now in his life. Maybe he needs to drop to a D2 or D3, and he's talking to some of those coaches. You could see that happen. Now, the big guy that, not necessarily the craziest school choices. I think that this is pretty fairly obvious and something that I saw coming for months and months and months, if I'm being honest, just because of his time at the Big Ten tournament. Sebastian Rivera, I'm talking about here. Look, he screamed out after he won the Big Ten championships, New Jersey, which is strange because, he's wrestling for Northwestern. He's not wrestling for any schools in New Jersey. Now, that's where he's from. He's from New Jersey, so maybe we could see him go to a New Jersey school. And I think that's what's likely going to happen here, is that Sebastian Rivera is going to end up at Rutgers or Princeton. So, and also I kind of looked at his hometown, where he's from. It's pretty close to his hometown. I think it's like 45 minutes away, each of these schools. Now, Sebastian Rivera, obviously a well-accomplished wrestler, has made waves at each weight he's wrestled at. 25, defeating Spencer Lee twice, beating him at Midlands, and then Big Ten championships, as well as, this past year winning another Big Ten championship, with some great matches with Seth Gross, Rowan Bravo Young. I mean, throughout the entire year, Sebastian Rivera is a guy who has been in contention for a title and will be this year. Now, he is graduating from Northwestern. That's why he is leaving. But I think he's going to end up at one of these two schools just because that New Jersey bond. There's just something there with those New Jersey kids, those New Jersey wrestlers, that is just always there. So how could he fit into the lineup at Rutgers or Princeton? First of all, at Princeton, it'd be crazy. Like I said, Monday could go there. If they get Rivera and Monday, that's huge for the lineup. Absolutely huge. But at 125, Princeton has Pat Glory. So, Sebastian Rivera is likely not dropping to 25. But at 33 and 141, I think those are some open spots for him to make that lineup. Rutgers is a little bit more difficult considering the fact that you have Aguilar at 125. And like I said, he's not dropping down to 25. But at 33, you have Suriano as well as Alvarez. Now, Suriano, it's still rumored where he may or may not return right now, which is kind of nuts. And then at 41, you have Jojo Aragona. And, each of these guys, Alvarez and Aragona, actually still have a red shirt available. So you could see for Sebastian Rivera's last year of eligibility, you could see those guys red shirt. Also, Suriano could take another Olympic red shirt. You don't know exactly what could happen there. So anything is really up for grabs with each of these guys, with Monday, Teasdale, and Sebastian Rivera. Please let me know in the comments where you think or where you want each of these guys to end up. And if you're looking for more transfers from this upcoming season, make sure you check out this video where I dive into the biggest transfers in the portal.